Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Hook, Line, and Shifter. Brought to you by yours truly, Bob McCarty. Another packed episode for us this week. I've got Jacob Fernandez. Going to learn all about this 22-year-old that's really coming on strong onto the Florida State Series. We got our usual segments, Single Track Secrets, which is going to be a full lap of the Vortex up in Ocala, FSC number 4 this past weekend. Questions from the fans, and the section I love the most, woulda racing. Bob, I would have done a lot better if. We'll get to that one. First part of the show today, I opened with that sentence. If you always do what you always did, you will always get what you always got. It's time to challenge yourself in all aspects of life. One of the great things I think about this sport is the discipline it takes to go out and pedal and suffer every day just to try and be pretty good. I think that energy carries into life. The discipline of how do you push through when things hurt. So if you're stagnant, you've been in the same place, think about that sentence. Again, if you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. Challenge yourself. As little or as trivial as it might seem to you, challenge yourself. Challenge yourself in all aspects of life. Don't be complacent. Anything it is you do, 100%. Give 100%. As always, I can't do any of this without my fine sponsors. Orchist Technologies, leader in worldwide telecommunications. ESI grips, beautiful grips. Different thicknesses really help out your hands, no numb hands. Great colors, make your ride look really good. Don't forget to use my discount code HLS2025 to get yourself 20% off site-wide. U-Cycling, clothing, super comfortable clothing. Same thing, use that code HLS2025, get 20% off site-wide. MASH Mobile Vet, let them bring the mobile animal hospital right to your front door. Save the stress, save the strain on your animals, on yourselves. MASH Mobile Vet will bring a mobile hospital right to your front door. POC helmets, comfortable, breathable MIP system. Can't go wrong with those POC helmets. NV wheels, beautiful wheels, 24 spoke, engagement on them, ratchet gear engagement, absolutely incredible. On my race bike, I will not use anything else. Incredible carbon wheels. Pirelli tires. This past weekend in Ocala, I thought the tire was working great 2 weeks ago at Markham. In Ocala this past weekend, the new M compound, the new M tread pattern with the new race compound. I don't think I've ever laid a bike over as far as I did laid it over as far as I ever have in Ocala this past weekend. Man, that thing hooks up. Give it a try. Pirelli tires, the new M race compound, 2.4. As a matter of fact, I don't even think they make 2.2 anymore. 2.4. 690 gram tire, very acceptable. Amazing tire. And finally, Absolute Black. Oval chain rings, round chain rings. Check out their website, absoluteblack.com. Brake pads, a whole host of product. But again, if you've never been on an oval chain ring, give it a shot. Trust me, it is well worth it. Once again, man, I can't do any of this without my fine sponsors. All right, so coming up on the show, we've got Jacob Fernandez. Hope you like this one. Let's see what Jacob has to share with us. All right. And as promised to you guys out there, I wanted to have somebody different on every single week with regards to the Florida State Championship Series. Today, I've got Jacob Fernandez on with me. He is currently sitting in third place in the Florida State Championship Series in the elite category. Pretty extensive FSCs behind him. In 2018, he got fourth overall in the FSC for the junior category. 2019, fifth overall into the U18. 2020, fifth overall again for U18. 2021, second overall for U18. And then in 2022, he made his elite debut in the 19 to 39 or 19 to 49, but actually 19 to 39-year-old category. And he got eighth overall in the elite, 23, fifth overall in the elite, and in 24, sixth overall in the elite. But one of the things that I think is most impressive is the talent that dirt camp racing brings out. Once again, Jacob Fernandez, thanks for coming on to Hook, Line, and Shifter today.
Thanks for having me, Bob.
No, I appreciate your time. So I've said before with everybody that I've had on, I've mentioned, hey, do you even know these statistics about you? I'm assuming you probably know those. You know those overall results, but tell us a little bit about yourself. When did your career get started? You're based out of Ocala. I got some questions about that, but give us a little bit of background into how you became the athlete that you are today.
Well, it kind of started when my dad bought the bike shop. And so I've actually been racing for probably close to a decade at this point. Started when I was about 12 and then started training to race about 7 years ago with a guy who worked as a bike mechanic for us. So I've been, as a junior, been doing this for kind of a long time at this point.
Okay. And what bike shop is that your family owns?
Santos Bike Shop in Central Florida.
Okay. And who was the mechanic that you just dropped word of that you started to train with?
It was actually Josh Paz, a Puerto
Okay.
Rican national champion when he was a junior.
Wow. And how did your junior categories go, or how did your junior racing go for you?
It was a lot of a grind, honestly. Most of my
Okay.
junior years kind of just finished 10th and 14th. A lot of time grinding my way up before I was getting those fifth and fourth place finishes overall.
Mm-hmm. What do you attribute the grind to, and wanting to stay with the grind? Because God knows, man, this ain't an easy sport. What do you attribute your grind to?
Maybe over competitiveness. I've always wanted to win, and the 5, 6, 7 years of not winning has really kept me going, wanting to win. That's
Okay.
really the end goal that I've striving to achieve all these years.
Why do you think you're based out of Ocala? Santos is out of Ocala. Why do you think so many good or great athletes come out of Ocala? Because you guys are fast up there.
Well, we definitely have some very talented speed from Ryan Woodall that we're always chasing after, and then just an
Hmm.
insanely good trail system at the Santos Trails. That's a great training ground for pretty much any riding conditions.
Hmm. So you've been chasing Ryan for most of your young career?
No, it actually started with Jack Mazzoni. I was probably chasing him since I was 11 or 12. Actually, he was chasing me for about 6 months and then quickly got way faster than me. And then we've been chasing Ryan since then.
What do you think it's like to, because I know with Jack and Angel that you guys have come through the ranks together. What is it like to line up now at the elite category, or now you've been doing it for a couple of years now, but to line up at the elite category with the guys like them that you've come through the ranks with? What's it like racing with your friends out there?
Definitely feels like some would say old hat, where we've just been doing it for years and years and years. It just seems natural.
All right. In 2022, at 19 years old, you had your introduction into the elite category. Thankfully, for myself, 21 was my last year, so I never had a direct experience of having to race you in an XCO. We've done some endurance things together, but never in an XCO. I start behind and I try to chase you all down, but it's never that successful for me. When do you recall what it was like the first time that you actually had to line up in that 19 to 49-year-old category in the elite category? What were the nerves like? How did do you remember? Uh, I'm assuming it was probably a Tallahassee debut, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely, yeah. It
Okay,
was
and fortunately for us in Tallahassee, you have the opportunity to do the time trial the day before. In my opinion, that shakes out the nerves a little bit because if you're, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 in the time trial, it's probably a pretty good reflection, bearing that nothing happened. It's probably a pretty good reflection of what might happen the next day during the race. So maybe the nerves weren't as bad, but tell us what that was like. Let's do the time trial. Do you recall what you felt like lining up for the time trial in that category? And then tell us about the Sunday race also.
Yeah, lining up in the time trial, I didn't really have crazy expectations because with my relatively long history racing as a junior, I've actually always kind of sucked at time trials. I do
Okay.
much better pushing it behind another wheel or being chased by someone. If I'm by myself, I kind of go off in the la la land thinking I'm going fast, and turns out I'm nowhere near the speed I need to be doing.
Okay.
So I probably didn't set off with too many nerves, but I definitely did not perform anywhere near respectable for a first time in the expert category.
Okay. So that was the time trial on Saturday. And then on Sunday, tell me about the nerves of lining up with everybody. And for those of you who don't know, if you watch one of the older episodes that I have, the Tallahassee start is a bit of a downhill start. Super, super fast. I don't know if in 22 that they had there's a, I think it might have gotten pulled, but there's a fence. There's a fence line at the bottom of this descent that was the I don't know if you want to call it the pucker moment, the scary moment that in your class, being that it's so big off the starting grid, you've got in some cases 25 people trying to all fight for this one line through the fence. Do you remember if the fence was actually there in your first race?
Oh yeah, it was there.
Okay. So what were the nerves like on the starting line for that? And then obviously thinking about the fence.
Uh, Thinking about the fence was definitely an interesting thing, but once we were about halfway down the grass hill, it wasn't too much of a concern because I started second row since my time trial wasn't good. I didn't have a call up, so I wasn't anywhere near far enough up to make a dent. So it kind of just hung on the back for that section.
Okay. Do you remember how you finished?
Oh, if I had to guess, it was probably somewhere between 12th and 14th.
Okay. All right. There's an old saying in sports of once you actually move up into the elite category, you get into the professional status, you have your welcome moments, welcome to the class moments. Do you recall what your welcome to the class moment was? Was it an experience? Or was it banging bars with somebody? What was your things are real up here?
Oh, probably getting dropped off the back like a sack of potatoes.
In Tallahassee or
Oh yeah,
okay. So when we crossed over the creek and hit that fire road and everybody's motoring up that thing at 20 to 22 miles an hour, you're thinking to yourself, what the hell am I doing here?
exactly. That was probably
Yeah.
the last section I was with most of the guys was for that service road, and then once we hit the single track, they all just turned into water and just flowed through those trees like it was nothing.
Nice. We're going to get into this past weekend up at your home course at the Vortex, or I don't. Yeah, we could say that your home course, the
Oh,
Vortex.
it's home
We're
course for
gonna
sure.
All right, we're gonna get into that in a minute. What do you think is the biggest challenge to racing the elite category in Florida?
Probably the fact that the category is so deep with so many skilled riders like Ryan, Jack, and Angel that you basically have to pull off a near perfect, flawless race to finish in the top three.
Hmm. Okay. I would agree with you. I would agree with you there. It's in my opinion, it's everybody is fast and you're all moving, you're all fast, and then one mistake causes, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 bike lengths, and you think, oh, I'll just close it back in. And man, that's not how it works, because that 20 bike lengths is going to change to 30 and it's going to change to 40. And even if you do have the ability to close it back in, you're burning some matches to get back up there. The veterans in the class like Ryan, once you choose or once you've made a decision to get back up there, it's safe to say that he's probably going to attack you again and make you really question if you want to go or not, because you do have to recover from coming back. So you're right. I think it is trying to run a somewhat of a flawless race is a big difference. It's not. It's. I don't believe it's fitness. Obviously, is a key thing, but I think at your level, fitness isn't necessarily the winning factor. It's racecraft, your skill set, and just how well and how many races you've done to be able to handle all of those stresses and the emotions of an entire race. I had Jack on a week or two ago, and I referred a little bit of being a rookie to the category. I think you're in this is year 4 for you, correct? Year
I
3
think
or year
so.
4?
I
Okay,
think
so
it's
year
fourth.
4 for you. It's probably no longer the rookie category, but there still is so much more for you to learn there. I would assume the big goal is to try and in however long Ryan decides to stay around is to take him down and try and get yourself one of those number one plates. Is that the eventual goal?
Heck yeah, that's definitely a big goal that I've been developing over the past few years for sure.
Nice. How many hours a week do you train in trying to chase these goals?
uh, During the race season, it shortens up a little bit, but typically about 12 to 15, I'd say.
Oh, okay. That's not bad. And then if we had to put it into miles, about how many miles do you think you put in a week?
I typically do a 50-50 spread between my road bike and mountain bike, so that shortens it up a little bit, probably somewhere between 100 to 150 miles.
Oh, okay. I was with some of my training partners this morning. I told them that I was having you on the show if there was any questions that they had, and they hit me up with a question which I didn't really know the answer to. Down here in South Florida, we do a lot of gravel. When our definition of gravel is we got, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of miles out in the Everglades that we can ride gravel on. And they said, do you guys actually have gravel? And I'm like, I don't even know. I hear about road and out the country roads you have, but do you actually have gravel or no?
What I've heard is that we have quite an extensive gravel network, but I've actually never ridden them.
Do you own a gravel bike?
I don't,
Wow.
just
Okay.
a mountain and road bike.
I'm sure you could probably get one though, based on the family shop, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice. Let's talk a little bit again before we get into this past weekend. Tell me a little bit about what it's like racing out of state. What is the competition like? What is the stresses like? Tell me or us a little bit about that.
Uh, the competition is definitely like everyone's turned into Jack and Ryan. They're stupid fast and seem to have an endless reserve of power and energy.
Okay. This
When it
th-
comes,
this past year you're up in Roanoke, right?
yes, yep, did
Okay.
Roanoke. That was actually going pretty well until Jack wrecked in front of me and ended up hurting himself. We both ended up getting the flat and running out of the rock garden section in Roanoke.
So where Jack crashed over that rock and took himself out, you were behind him at that moment?
Right on his wheel, yeah.
Real and so you crashed with him over that bridge too?
Fortunately, I didn't wreck, but I was trying to avoid him and ended up hitting a similar rock and getting a flat right there.
Wow. Your guys' condition that day was horrible, right?
Oh yeah, it was complete slime ball.
What about tell me about the nerves lining up at an XCO for nationals? What was that like compared to I don't know, lining up for the one of the FSCs with your friends?
Strangely, I actually have typically way less nerves on out of state races.
Huh.
And I would accompany that to kind of just, um, I've never been able to perform crazy well because I start so far back due to lack of points. So I'll start like 40th out of 50 guys and
Okay.
only be able to move up to like 30th. So I'm never really that stressed at a out of
Okay.
state race because I'm not counting on huge things. Where at this point in the state FSC with my buddies, I'm fast enough to where the little smallest detail can be a big difference between second, third, or eighth place.
Wow. The and so this year we were at Roanoke. Last year, where were we at? Where were we at last year?
I
And
didn't
did
do
you didn't do
nationals last
nationals?
year, just
Oh,
marathon.
okay. So this is your first year into it, or first year into the nationals. Okay. What actually are your goals? What are your goals in this sport?
Honestly, I'm just trying to see how long I can do it and how far I can progress.
Okay. Um, how do tell us a little bit about Dirt Camp? How do they seem to produce some really fast guys and girls. How did they help you? And tell us a little bit about Dirt Camp.
Well, Dirt Camp, the reason I got hooked up with them is because I needed a support group when out of state. And that's one thing that they do really well is given a place to U23 athletes that are able to go do races but aren't able to have the support of parents because I can't rent a car being under the age of 25 when out of state, and so having a network of teammates like that, I was able to hook up with someone who had either driven to that race or already lived there, and they were able to pick me up and take me to the race. And typically they set up team housing, so that was
Oh,
the
nice.
primary reason I got on the team was just the vast network of out of state support.
Oh, okay. And do you you train with locally? Do you train with Ryan and Jack, or do you have who is your training partners in Ocala?
Uh, Typically, me, myself, and I. Um,
Really?
I try to do some riding with Ryan and Jack, but we have vastly different schedules between when we like to ride and work. So probably 99% of my hours on training have all been just myself.
Oh, okay. Do you have you train indoor or just outdoor?
Most of it is outdoor.
Okay. All right, let's get into this past weekend in Ocala. So this past weekend was Florida State Series Championship Series number 4 in Ocala at the Vortex. Again, I've said numerous times in my shows, Ocala has 3 different trail systems. They have the Santos Trailhead, Vortex, and Land Bridge. In the FSC, we do race the Vortex mid-year, and then we go back to the Trailhead for the final round in the second week, on the second week of December. Vortex a little bit more technical, I would say. Than no, actually, I think both are just as technical. So this past weekend, we were at the Vortex, and Jacob was online with everybody. The pack was actually pretty thick this weekend. Whole shot went down, I don't know, maybe 100 yards or so, and hung a hard right hander. Tell me or tell us about what that start was like. Having, I think you guys had 12, maybe 26 or 25 guys all trying to dive into that first turn. What was that like?
It was definitely, I knew I had to go fast enough off the line to get in the woods pretty close to the front because it was going to get pretty hairy pretty quick with how soft that turn was.
Hmm.
And fortunately, I lined up right next to Ryan, and we seemed to be able to speed off pretty good. So it was actually Ryan, um, don't remember his name, but some South Florida guy, and then me. So it was actually third into the woods. which I was very happy and pleased about to follow Bob that not Bob Ryan that closely into the woods.
Okay, I think you're referring to Jonathan, the
Yeah.
Miha. Okay. Okay. So that first start went into the woods in third. Based on the lap times, um it looks like you guys came out of the woods pretty tight. I think Ryan came out in first and you came out it looks like you came out second wheel.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I talked to Ryan after the race was over, trying to get a breakdown. Within the race, after the whole shot, we went through a fast, flowy, fun section. It took a really hard, excuse me, a really hard right-hander. We took that really hard right-hander. It was probably the first opportunity that it was single track, but yet it was wide enough to pass somebody if you needed to. When I talked to Ryan about it, he said nobody wanted to challenge him going up that, but he did also say that he kind of laid into the watts and wasn't encouraging anybody to go around. What was that first that turn like, and then going up that? Did you even think that you wanted to go around, or was Ryan laying down a heater that you said, all right, you know what, this is pretty good, I'm just going to hang out here?
So once we had gotten through dog catcher, I was actually trying to get around what was his name in second. Um,
Okay.
and I didn't want to follow him through the black trails in Vortex because I knew Ryan's wheel a little bit better taking those lines. So once we had hit the slightly widened, almost double track, to your point, it's not really a double track, it's just a wider single track. He
Hmm.
hit the watts and it made a little bit of gap from second. And so I attacked right there for a second time, actually, to get around his wheel. He held me off until we hit the second section right before we jumped into Vortex, and I was able to squeak around him. So it was actually me and Ryan pretty early on, right into the black trails.
Okay. And then at that, I'm not completely familiar with the names of all the trails, so just bear with me. But I know after we come out of what I would call the first real section of single track, we crossed over the pit. Coming across the pit, at that point you were second wheel to Ryan across the pit.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so then in there, I actually asked Ryan again. I said, "Hey, did going across the pit, did anybody want to come around or challenge you?" And he said again, he didn't really want it to happen, so he was laying into the watts. When you came across, were you on his wheel crossing the pit, or was there a little bit of a gap?
I mean, we had that sharp little hill that we crossed over to get to that gravel pit section.
Okay,
So there was a little bit of gap just from the wattage delay between the two of us, but I was
okay,
really just right on his wheel going through that section for sure.
and no desire to try and get around.
I really wanted to follow his lines, especially for lap one. My real goal was just hoping no one would get between the two of us.
Got it. Okay, and where was Jack during all this?
I think he was somewhere between fourth and fifth. He said he had gotten a not so great position into the woods, and so I think he was just kind of working his way through the pack to us.
Okay. So then at the end of lap two, it looks like all you guys came through the start finish again together. Maybe the pack a little bit thinner at that point. Um, who had Reed wound up with the fastest lap on lap two, but from what I heard, I don't think he had such a great start. He was a little bit further back, but worked his way through. So at the start of lap three now, everybody is still together. And then at that point, Ryan laid down a 25:43 and you fell into the 25:16. Did anything occur, or was it just general fatigue? How did Ryan get that kind of gap on you?
Yeah, I think it was kind of general fatigue. Honestly, when it came to like just fitness, I felt totally fine. It really just seemed like I was getting more mental fatigue. So
Okay.
how I was describing it to Ryan afterwards was I was seeing the trail, but my brain didn't know what to do with the information. So I was hitting a lot sloppier lines than Ryan was, and so I had to back off before I ended up wrecking. Is was my train of thought at that moment.
We sometimes refer to home course advantage, and home course advantage to me sometimes is somewhat of a vague sentence. an example, 2 weeks earlier or 1 week earlier, we were at Markham Park. The local guys there do have, I would say, a home course advantage. And the reason is that Markham is a directional course. It's not multi-directional. We run it the same way every time. So when they laid out the course for the FSC, we had the opportunity to run Markham the way that we always do it. Ocala, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ocala is multi-directional. There is no direction to the course, correct?
In a sense, but the vortex is the one area where that loop of black trails is actually one directional.
Oh, okay. But we came in at the end section, that was backwards on that one part, correct?
No, I think we
When
did hit.
we came back across the pit and then made that left into that, because normally we run that the other way. What is the correct direction on that one?
So all the black trails that we hit for this last race was actually the correct direction. We just kind of
Ah,
wove them together however we wanted, is what was the difference.
okay. So then where my question was going with that is that since it is a multi-directional, sometimes you don't actually have the opportunity to really hone in your own park. But it sounds like in this case you did have the opportunity to run the black trails the way you're used to practicing. How often do you actually get over to the vortex to practice?
I would definitely say that about a quarter of my mountain biking time is spent over in there just to hone some skills.
Okay. So Ryan got a little bit of a gap on you in lap three because of the emotional slash physical fatigue, and then in lap four, I gotta say it, you really looked like you fell off pace. You started the race out in 25s and then dropped to right at a 28 on the final lap. Did something happen in that lap, or was that just a complete mental and physical fatigue?
I ended up wrecking, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Where where
so
did where did it happen?
right as you're going through next to that wood skinny and you climb up that hill and you got all the wood features right next to you in the
Yep.
gravel pit.
Okay.
I took a line that I'd been taking all day and some of the loose lime rock gravel had shifted. And so in my slightly exhausted, fatigued state, I hit it and wasn't paying enough attention, lost the front wheel, and ended up having my bike actually flip over my shoulder.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So and at that point, where did you get past?
Yeah, right at that moment is when I got repassed by the guy who had been in second on lap one. So I ended up settling in fifth at that point.
Okay, so you wound up pulling off a fifth last weekend at the Vortex. I constantly refer to, and I'm actually enjoying the fact that it really seems to be catching on about negative splitting. Negative splitting is the art of trying to get faster as the day goes on. This day, unfortunately, you didn't negative split, a little bit of fatigue in lap three, and then obviously going down in lap four. Is negative splitting a thought process for you while racing your bike, or is it I'm just going to give it my all and hope for the best by the time I get to the end?
Honestly, I've the only times I've ever thought about that is with some local races that my dad puts on where I'm actually one of the fastest guys. But typically doing the Florida State series, there's so many crazy fast guys that I never even think about negative split. I just think there's a tire in front of me and I need to catch that guy.
You gotta go. I was talking to Ryan after, and I said he was bringing up a point that I thought was very valid, and that was a Garmin. Our Garmin devices are simply for data acquisition on race day. When you're at your level, Jacob, unfortunately, when the person in front of you goes, guess what, man? You don't have a choice. You gotta go. Hopefully you have the fitness to come in to negative split or stay as flat as you can across the board with the lap times. Unfortunately for you, you're racing against Ryan, which is one of the if not the best at being able to throw down these final laps that are really just amazing. But the fact that he is local to you, and you can possibly get up there and or get out and practice with him. Hopefully, we can try and fix this a little bit more for you. But overall, a good day. You're still sitting in third place for the elite category, and we'll see what you have to offer. And we're off this weekend. Next weekend, down for you, up for us over in Lakeland for a short track on Saturday and the cross country on Sunday. So I was very, very fortunate to have the opportunity on Saturday to do a hot lap with you. And man, I have to say, I had such a grin on my face. I was having so much fun out there trying to drop you. I'll be honest. I was trying my best to drop you. Me trying to drop you at your home park was just a thrill. Nowhere near even having any sort of success. I asked you after we were done, did I even do anything to you? And you threw me a bit of a bone. You said, yeah, I was probably sitting at zone 3 the whole time, which whatever, man, that made me feel good. But I'll tell you, I haven't had so much fun on a bike trying to get rid of you in your park. Borderline ready to crash the whole time. So hopefully you had as much fun as I did on that hot lap Saturday afternoon.
It was a
Were you
blast.
Thanks. Were you on a new bike?
Yes, actually, I had a loaner from Specialized that I've been riding for probably last month. But when we did that lap, I had just finished building up a custom bike that I'd been waiting on a frame for roughly that same month. And so I just built it like 2 days prior.
Okay, I had somebody actually told me that was a brand new bike, and then when I thought about it, I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen him on that one. It's an Epic 8, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, and you like it?
Oh yeah, that thing is flying.
What were you on before? Just an old generation one?
So I had a Epic 8. It was just a slightly lower model, and part of really the main reason why I built up this bike was just bike shop connections allow me to make a pretty bike.
Nice. And that is a beautiful bike. All right, Jacob, I got a couple closing questions for you. We know that you're on the Specialized Epic 8. Absolutely amazing, amazing bike. What tire pressure do you run in the front and what tire pressure in the rear? And the reason I ask this is I'm actually fascinated from everybody that I talk to because I get really a wide range of tire pressure. And I wouldn't think in today's day and age, I thought everybody would be pretty close to the same numbers. What kind of numbers are you at?
So it's kind of interesting. I used to run the Maxxis Recon Race 2.4s, so with a slightly wider tire, and how they
Okay.
rolled, I really liked them between really 18 in the back and 16, 17 in the front.
Okay.
But I'm currently on Specialized tires. I think it's like a fast track and an air track, I think.
Okay.
And they want to be run at a lot higher pressure. Otherwise, it sounds like you're going to roll them off the rim. And so I'm running
Okay.
about 22 in the back and probably 20 in the front.
Wow. Okay. And what width do those tires come in at?
2.35, so a little bit narrower.
Okay. I asked you about the amount of hours and miles that you train, but do you keep track of stuff through Training Peaks?
I do, yeah.
Okay, about how many TSS a week do you run?
I actually don't know.
Okay. Okay. Any injuries so far in your young career that you want to make us aware of?
Uh, a lot of people I raced with would break bones, but really the worst that I've ever had was I crashed one time over my handlebars, crushed my thumb between a rock and my heart rate monitor, and basically, I guess, hyperextended the tendon to my thumb for about a month, and it was kind of immobile. But other than that, I really haven't had any on the bike
Good.
injuries.
Good for you, man. Let's keep our fingers crossed that that's going to be the sentence for your whole career. The worst thing has been a thumb injury. I probably know where this answer is going, but what is your favorite park? And actually, it can be anywhere. You know what? Don't pick Ocala. Don't pick Santos. What is your favorite park that you've had the opportunity to go and race or travel to?
I'd say if I was forced to not pick Santos,
Yes.
it would definitely have to be I'd say um, the UCI course in Wisconsin.
Okay.
I don't remember what that one's called. I think it's something green, I think, or something. It's a local guy made a course in Wisconsin that he uses for UCI registered race.
Okay. All right. I'll take that one. I have never been, but I'll look it
Inglewood,
up.
that's what it was called.
Englewood. All right.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good part. XCO, XCM, or XCC. So we're talking about short racing, 20 minutes, regular cross country racing, 90 to 100 minutes, and then endurance racing, 3.5 hours plus. Which one do you prefer?
Well, it's kind of funny because I've been told that I'm exceptionally good at marathon racing
Okay.
because of my build, I guess. I'm very good at endurance climbing, but I actually vastly prefer XCO.
Okay. What is the on the marathon side for you? What would be something that's coming up? Would it be the 12 hours in February of next year?
Most likely.
And that would be you going to come and hang out with me for 12 hours? Or are you just going to run the six?
Haven't decided. I'm going to talk to my coach about it and see what would be the best because I'm going to be having a lot of traveling right after that race for the UCI series.
So I would say hanging out with me for 12 hours probably is not going to be the best for you. It's probably it's probably safe to say that your coach is going to say do the three full gas or do the six just as best you can. Either way, man, I look forward to lining up and getting an opportunity to race you in these longer races. Is there in your career, is there any, do you have any favorite athlete, anybody that you've looked up to, anybody that that's a role model for you?
Honestly, it would have to be a pretty close tie between Jack Mazzoni and Ryan Woodall.
Okay.
They've both been vastly faster and way more skilled than I have for my entire race career, and so those are really the two that I've been aspiring to.
That's a good list of names to choose from. All right. If somebody wants to follow you or track what it is that you do every day, how can somebody stay and follow what it is that you do?
Actually, nothing. I don't have any form of social media at all.
Really? Okay, good for you, man. Good for you. You just want to ride your bike and that's it.
Pretty much.
Nice. Tell us again a little bit more about your family shop. Where is it at? What brands you guys carry?
Oh, well, we're located in Central Florida, Ocala, and my dad bought the shop in 2010, I believe, 2010 or 11. So we've had it for almost 16 years at this point. It's been around though since 2001, so the shop's just about 25 years old at this point.
Oh wow.
Um, and we carry just about feels like every bike brand under the sun.
Nice. And where exactly you guys located?
Central Florida, Ocala, Central Florida,
Okay, near the Santos Trailhead.
right off the Santos Trailhead, about a mile down 441.
So I believe you can actually ride from the back of your parking lot, right? You can ride through the trails and get into Santos, right?
Yes, sir. Have a little shop connector.
Nice. So when we're over there in December, I think everybody should venture out while they're doing their lap, head over to your shop, check in, buy something, support Santos shop. Jacob, if there's one piece of advice that you could give to any up and coming rider or up and coming racer that would keep them motivated into the sport or try and be inspired by things that you've done, what piece of advice might you give somebody that has worked out for you to keep you motivated and into the sport as long as you have?
Find a wheel that is just faster than you that you can never maintain their speed, and that'll always give you something to chase after, either in skill or in top speed, and that just keeps me coming back because there's always someone faster.
It's every time that I ask this question and the answers that I get, they all come back to everything comes back to about the same thing. And I call it accountability partners and really good training partners. And I'll tell you what, up there in Ocala, you guys have some of the best, if not the best, to try and train with. Listen, I greatly appreciate you taking your time today away from the shop to hang out with me on Hook, Line, and Shifter. Look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks down in Lakeland. But most of all, Jacob, I look forward to seeing you get one of these fancy #1 plates. I think you can do it, and I'll tell you what, you got to make me a promise. You ain't even gonna consider giving up this sport or not going full gas until you get yourself at least one of these. And then once you get one, tell you what, man, you got to go get a couple more. But you got a lot of really good people up there you got to try and go through. But keep up the fight, and I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks down in Lakeland for Florida State Championship Series Round 5, short track on Saturday, XCO on Sunday. Thank you again, man. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
There you go. I hope you liked that segment with Jacob Fernandez. What a great guy. What a great guy. He's the same way he is on the interview today is the exact same way he is at the race course. Don't be afraid to approach him, talk to him, ask him questions. Very young, but he's been around the Florida race scene for a long time. He's got great training partners up there in Ocala. And if you have the opportunity, stop by his family shop, Santos Bike Shop. Great place, great deals. Tell them I sent you in there, and maybe they'll hook you up with something special. He's got the opportunity to train with Ryan. He's got the opportunity to train with Jack. He said something in the episode, which I think is very important for you all to remember. I said, what is one piece of advice that you would give to somebody up and coming and out there? And I'll tell you what, it seems to be the same theme across the board. What piece of advice would you give? The constant theme is great training partners that are going to push you and hold you accountable. I have been so fortunate over my career to have some amazing training partners. Seek out these people that are faster than you and don't give up. Learn from them. Every week, every month, you're going to get a little bit closer and learn a little bit more. This sport, I've said it a bunch of times, this sport is relentless. It never gets any easier. You just get faster. Having training partners that are faster than you is a #1 way to get that learning curve over as quickly as you can and really start to pick up the speed inside the trails. So what a great interview from Jacob. If you have the opportunity in 2 weeks from now when we're down in Lakeland, check it out or check him out. See what he has to offer in Lakeland. So this past weekend, we were up in Ocala at the Vortex, round 4 of the Florida State Championship Series. Pretty exciting event. In the elite category, Ryan Woodall pulled off the win. Coming in second was Reed Legg. I've had both of them on the show, and as a matter of fact, Jack got third, and I've had him on the show. Jacob wound up getting a 5th place. He said that in the interview. Struggled a little bit on lap 3, and then he crashed on lap 4, lost one of his positions, but is still holding strong 3rd place overall. In the 40 plus XC1 category, Pacheco got the win, Julio got 2nd, Antonio got 3rd. Those 3 guys, whew, man, they are flying. They are flying out there. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out with the 3 of them. In the 50 plus, I wound up getting the win. Keith Lay got second, and longtime friend and racing companion Trent wound up getting third. Good job for Trent, and good job for Keith. Keith, the two of them kept me honest, man. They were rolling. XC2 in sport, we have Brian McKnight and Rodrigo. Rodrigo's another one that follows. He doesn't directly train with me, but that young man is out there for every one of my training rides. So really making a big difference. So first was Bryson, second was Rodrigo. XC2 in the 40 plus, Steven got himself a first. XC2 in the 50 plus, Chris Schroeder got first. Rod got himself second. Alex Duran got third. And in the 60 plus, looks like Dick McDonald pulled off another win there. XC1 for the women, Darla Woodall is holding strong. She got another win in Ocala. Probably not that much of a surprise, being that the course is in her home, almost directly out of her back door. So congrats to her and Ryan, still in the leader's jersey for the 25 Florida State Championship Series. Next weekend we have off. Thank God. I need a little bit of time at home, catch up on life. And then the following weekend we are over in Lakeland for Florida State Round 5, Coconut Cup makeup, and we do have a short track on Saturday. Lakeland is a really fun course. Pretty hard. They have these few features called the fingers. They're fingers that jet out into some of the lakes that they have, and then we turn around and come back. Pretty tight and technical. And then on Sunday for the XCO, and then the XCC on Saturday is about a 20-minute race, all out. Bottom line, man, it's an all-out suffer fest. Full anaerobic, and just sit there and wait for the day to be over. If you're not anaerobic for the whole time, you're probably not pushing a lot. All right, next section, we've got single track secrets. I hope you like this full lap of the Vortex FSC number 4 from the past weekend. Enjoy the video. You guys are good. I'll get you on the straightaway. Have fun. There you go.
Oh, I know.
Thanks, guys. Have fun. Thank you.
Hey guys. Hey, what's up, guys? Hey there.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that video of the Vortex. Ran a chest cam, but I got a different mount this week. Hopefully it works out a little bit better, a little more stable. Generally speaking, that's probably the same course that we run every year. So hopefully you can look back on it next year and learn a thing or two as far as what you're going to be prepared to deal with there. Also, the 12-hour, a lot of those trails are going to be in the 12-hour. We'll be back at the 12-hour, I think the second or third week of February. Next segment, questions from the fans. Questions from the fans. You can either get me at mtbcoachbob@gmail.com or just approach me at the races or at the park. Ask me anything you want. I'm more than happy to share my information over my career. I'm holding nothing back. Nothing that I do that's going to be a secret. I'll share it with you. You just have to execute on whatever it is that we talk about. So questions from the fans. This one came up to me this weekend. Actually made me laugh. I felt bad, but it did make me laugh the way the question was posed to me. Hey, Bob, what is some advice you would give to a new athlete that's tired of sucking? What kind of advice would you give to a new athlete that's tired of sucking? Made me laugh because it's very blunt. This is the piece of advice to a new athlete that's sucking. Small steps. Find small things that are pivotal in what it is that you're trying to do. You might find small steps every day. You might find small things every week. They might not come for every month. I say it again and again, man. This is a hard sport. It is relentless. You have to be disciplined with every aspect of it. We have something with training blocks. Training blocks, sometimes it's called a flat cycle. Flat cycle means we could go an entire 8-week training block and have 0 gains with it. It's called a flat training block. Am I upset by that? Nope. I'm learning every single time I'm learning on the bike. Find those small things that are going to make a difference. Try to capitalize on them and practice mountain biking. Like Jacob said, get some good accountability partners. Hold yourself accountable to training. Keep track of your training. Number one thing that I constantly refer to is Training Peaks. I use Training Peaks and I'm big into the TSS number. It's called a training stress score. What it means is it simply quantifies the work that you are doing. Typically, most riders go somewhere between, I'm going to say 400 to maybe 600 for a base/sport rider. Sport/expert is probably going to be 600 plus. And then once you really get into that elite category, you're probably running the 800 to 900, maybe even the 4 digits. But holding yourself accountable to that number could help the being tired of sucking. You got to find out what you love in the sport, capitalize on that, and know that you are getting better. You cannot be disappointed. The more you race, or what we call gate drops, the more gate drops you do, the more you learn, the better you're going to get. There was actually a young man I was talking to this weekend and a little bit disappointed about how he did. And I proceeded to ask him how many races. It's a very common question that I ask. How many races have you done? He told me, after thinking about it, kind of looked around, thought about it for a second, and he said 6. I said 6. He goes, yeah, but I'm struggling with, and by the way, it wasn't the question about sucking. struggling with, and whatever he said, hole shots, something like that. I was like, dude, man, you got 6 races under you. I go, I keep track, which most of you know. I keep track, and I think this weekend was 585 for me, or 584. And I still learned something about myself. I still learned something tactically this weekend, and I still learned to push. The biggest thing is that I love what I do. I am not complacent. I don't want to suck. So what am I going to do? Hold myself accountable for my TSS in a week, the amount of hours I put in a week, and the amount of miles that I put in. 31 years of doing this sport. I'm pretty good at it, but I don't have it figured out just yet. Accountability partners. Hold yourself accountable to your TSS. Hold yourself accountable to the number of hours. And probably I would encourage getting yourself a coach. Have somebody looking in from the outside to make sure you're doing the right things. One of the big differences for coaches like myself is we're studying a lot of people's data. Studying a lot of data to come up with the formulas to prescribe to our athletes. When you're self-coached, you don't have the ability to take in so many people's data. You're just assuming you're doing the right thing. Hire a good coach. There's a lot of good coaches out there, all different programs available to you. Generally speaking, coaching runs from anywhere from $50 to maybe $300 a month, keeping in mind you're going to pay for interaction. $50 a month, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of interaction. $300 a month, you're probably going to get some more interaction. I'm sure there's people that might be a little bit less and might be a little bit more. Just sharing with you what the norm is for a coach. So you don't want to suck? Hire a coach. Hold yourself accountable to your TSS points. Get yourself a Training Peaks account. Hold yourself accountable to the amount of miles that you're going to do. Hold yourself accountable to the amount of hours that you're going to put in. And always remember, train today does not mean you're fast tomorrow. Put the time in, and you're probably not going to suck. All right. Final segment. Woulda racing. Bob, I woulda done a lot better if. I'm just going to rattle these off. There was 5 of them that I heard this weekend. Actually, 5 that stood out for me. I heard a bunch more. And by the way, none of these were said directly to me. I just happened to be wandering through the pits and overhearing some of the conversations. Number 5. I overtrained this week. Number 4. Number 5. I overtrained this week. Number 4. I've not been training. I have not been training. Number 3. I couldn't sleep last night. Number 2. I didn't drink enough during the race. And number 1, my gears were skipping. So, somebody overtrained, somebody undertrained, somebody couldn't sleep, somebody didn't drink enough, and somebody's bike was malfunctioning. Put the time in to prep your equipment. Put the time in to train. Understand your body, understand your abilities. But first and foremost, own the process, own the results. If you got beat, congratulate who beat you. Go back to the drawing board and fix whatever it is that you don't think is right. But own it. Because if you trained, or if you overtrained, or you trained properly, doesn't mean you were going to do better. If you had been training, doesn't mean you're going to do better. If you did sleep that night, doesn't mean you could have done better. If you did drink enough, doesn't mean you're going to do better. And if your gears were working, doesn't mean you could have done better. This is all part of the sport. Own the results, own the process, and you too can be successful someday. Again, my sponsors, Orcus Technologies, ESI Grips, U-Cycling, MASH Mobile Vet, POC Helmets, NV Wheels, Pirelli Tires, and Absolute Black. Don't forget about my discount code HLS2025 to get yourself 20% off site-wide on some of those select websites. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for clicking on to Hook, Line, and Shifter. If you like the channel, please share it and subscribe. Thanks for watching another episode of Hook, Line, and Shifter. I was your host, Bob McCarty. We'll see you in 2 weeks over in Lakeland. Have a great training week.